Okay, now it's time to explore the TEF, or the thermic effect of food, which is basically the amount of energy your body expends to digest, absorb, metabolize the food. It's pretty important to look at, but it's often overlooked by a lot of people. And it's only a small fraction. It is essential that we understand it and we can explain this to our clients and how it's relevant for them. So it's about 10% of our daily caloric expenditure. So again, it's not the biggest contributor, but it can move the needle for some people. It's energy used for breaking down the food, moving nutrients in the bloodstream, storing the nutrients, and the metabolic processes in handling each of the different macronutrients. And the degree of TEF will vary depending on the type and composition of food. So, protein being the highest, fats being the lowest, and protein that you have to chew being higher than protein that you drink. So it won't significantly impact calorie needs on its own. Important consideration as well. So some people may need higher amounts of protein, lower amounts of protein to really give them the edge. Okay, so here's what we need to look at is that protein has the highest thermic effect. 20 to 30% of its calorie value will be expended during digestion and metabolism. So if someone's having a high protein diet, generally the body's going to need more energy to break that down, which makes them a good choice for a fat loss diet. For carbs, they have a moderate effect, 5 to 10%, generally easy for the body to break down. And fats are 0 to 3. They're really easily metabolized and broken down, so not really too much of an impact on here. Now, large meals have a higher thermic effect. Again, I really don't think this is going to make a difference to anyone. And some people will say this is a reason for fasting and having one meal a day and how that works. That realistically works because it's highly unlikely someone's going to eat 3,000 calories in a day. Food processing, generally the less processed the food is, the higher the thermic effect. If we look at something like oats versus rice flour, oats have a pretty high thermic effect relative to rice flour because they have to be broken down by the body. Everything's bound with uh, different compounds that the body has to break down, whereas rice powder is very, very simple. Meal timing can also influence it as well. Again, it's not really going to make a difference in people's calorie allotment and their progress, but what we need to do is be aware of it just for what people can actually stick to. And caffeine spices can temporarily boost it, but again, I don't think this is going to be a major difference maker for a lot of people. Cool. And some genetic factors and stuff like that can influence. So for weight management, it's not a big thing. So with T, E, F, and weight loss, in a weight loss phase, increasing protein intake is a great strategy. Okay. And nutrient dense whole foods are another one as well. And these are a real double edged sword in a good way. So what happens if you have those foods? You're getting higher in fiber. They take more energy to break down, and they provide more satiety. So for people who are really trying to lose weight, nutrient dense whole foods are the best option. They beat if it fits your macros every single time. Now, protein as well, when maintaining weight, a higher protein diet will also include a higher TF, which makes it easier to handle, and moderate carbs and healthy fats is ideal. Now, with muscle gain, we may need a higher amount of protein because we lose some of it, which is why we give people a general recommendation of 2 grams per kilo body weight as a way to get everything going. It's a really good structure to look at from there. So, how do we optimize it? Prioritize protein every single meal between 30 and 50 grams based on that person's individual macronutrient prescription. Whole foods as much as possible. The majority of the diet, 80%, should be whole foods to maximize TEF, but also in the fat loss phase to maximize health, to maximize satiety, and the ability to stick to the diet. Now, meal timing, I'm still going to be a big fan of 3 to 4 meals a day for most people. It will be the easiest to adhere behaviorally for most people. So with meal timing, it won't push the needle too much, but it will make people able to stick to the diet a lot easier. You can include fermentogenic foods, which can help. And I would argue at the lower stages, when someone's really lean, these have their impact. They're not going to be impactful for someone who's got to lose 40 kilos, but for someone who's got to lose 400 grams, these are certainly things that can make an input at that level. Please be aware of that point at that level. This is a very, very challenging point for most people to get to. Increasing fiber intake is another way of doing that as well, which again is another win for whole foods. So we have a look here. This shows an individual of how many calories they will actually burn on their protein versus carbohydrates. So it's actually probably a lot better to be having, you can have half the protein versus of the carbs and you still burn the same amount of calories. So it is far more inefficient to eat protein, which is good from weight loss. So our goals are, we need to be aware of it. We need to maximize protein and whole foods to take advantage of TEF. And from there, we're going to help our clients best in their fat loss efforts.